I've read Marx. I've read Engels. I've read Das Kapital.
The world is run by Trotskyists.
Hardcore Trotskyists.
How great an anti-American Marxist.
They're controlled by Trotskyists, as you put it, and these are the most evil, sick human beings on the face of the planet.
So before we get started, I just have to show off. I have a cast still on my leg.
Oh my God, you fucked up your leg. Oh
yeah,
you got the scooter too.
Yeah, I drew a pretty good AC/DC logo, I think. So just had to show that off a little bit.
That is well done. You've got the scooter. Jesus Christ, you really messed your leg up, dude.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
the rascal scooter when you go to Walmart.
What's that?
You can get the rascal scooter when you go to Walmart. You can bump into people's ankles and
just tip over and shit, and that's good. But wow, do you get temporary handicap parking plates?
No, that would have been a good idea.
That's because when I rolled my ankle and I was on a crutches for like 4 weeks because I thought I broke it, but like I had to park in a handicap spot because literally I'm on crutches. It's day 3. Like, I'm not even good on them. So I go into a building. I come out in 5 minutes. Someone wrote on a piece of paper for like, you are a disgrace of a human being. And it just went on and on about how terrible I was because I parked in a handicap spot. And I'm like, damn, dude, how did you write it that quick? I was in and out really, but like, just the anger. I mean, I like, cause they don't give you a temporary plate for rolled ankle, but you need it because shit. But all right.
It's funny how people's consciousness swings from like, well, we should just get rid of all government regulation and just let people fend for themselves to, well, we have handicap parking and you have to deserve it. And if you don't look like you're handicapped enough, then you are a parasite. Right. You're a drain on society. It's like, oh my God. Like which one is it, man? It's like, it's just that American consciousness, all it does is designed to tear each other down. Crazy.
Yeah.
It is fucked.
That is a wild thing about disability because like I consider myself disabled with fibromyalgia. I don't think the government does, but like I'm fucking struggling all the time because my body doesn't work right. But now because I have a fucking cast on, I'm using a scooter to get around. People are like, "Oh my God, everyone move out of the way. All right, let me get this door for you." And it's like, all right, great. And my like parents and sister have helped me out a lot over the past few weeks. And I'm thinking like, do you know how fucking helpful it would be for you guys to come over and be like, hey, do you need help doing the dishes or like something now and then because your body's always in pain. But like people can't fucking conceptualize it if they don't see you like hobbling with a thing on your leg.
All right. I think we can get started here. You're listening to the Left Opposition Podcast. On the program tonight, we've got Aaron, Joe, Doug, and Chris.
Hey.
Hello.
All right.
So, what's item 1 on the agenda today, Chris?
Tonight we have now, unfortunately, I don't know if you've heard, but the United Kingdom, it elected Sir Keir Starmer, and within 1 month we are already having goddamn race riots. So the Revolutionary Communist Party of Great Britain wrote a pretty good piece about it. I have the part 2 I could probably talk about after, but pretty fucked up what's been happening. It's hard to believe this, but so for those who don't know, there was a stabbing of that went on, and some rich millionaire British woman decided to say that the person who committed the crime was a 17-year-old Jordanian Palestinian person. So here's the thing. It wasn't. It was like a white guy who did it. But that's all the right-wing dumbass mobs led by their idiot guy, Tommy Robinson, decided to go full-on Nazi riot and started burning down refugee centers, asylum seekers, beating up black people. I mean, I guess black people are Arabs. They had the true side of what happened. So these riots went on for, I think there was 30 hours, and Sir Ken Starmer, the leader of the British Labour Party, said nothing for 30 hours. Nothing. He didn't do anything, led nothing. So this went on. And we can take it from here because the part 2, there's a good ending to this, but part 1 I think we can talk about. So
Yeah. So what happened was there was a stabbing of some kind in Southport. 3 young girls were killed. Lots of people injured. It was a knife attack. It was a children's dance class. Right. This is a pretty horrific tragedy. Now I don't know if they've ever released the identity of the killer, of the attacker, but it didn't stop the far right media and local pundits to immediately conclude that this was like a Muslim immigrant, and they were just immediately whipping up a frenzy. So the English Defense League and the Patriotic Alternative, they mobilized supporters to terrorize Southport's Muslim community, and they besieged the local mosque. And then this anger and this frustration spread to Hartlepool, Aldershot, and Manchester.
And Belfast too, Northern Ireland.
110 people were arrested. What's interesting though, a couple of things. So yeah, they were bashing windows. They besieged a hotel where Muslim refugee asylum seekers were being temporarily housed. They were chanting "Stop the boats" and chanting things like "We want our country back." Yeah, it was just to unleash this whatever this pent up anger is. It was nuts. Now some of the footage was kind of funny. I don't know if you guys saw a guy.
I did see one. The guy who got hit in the nuts.
He got hit with a brick or something in the head, and then as he's walking away, he got hit with another brick.
Square in the nuts too. Good. Hey man, nice shot. There you go. Like, you fucking scumbag Nazi. But good. The trash take itself out. That was fucking great. I mean, what this whole thing is too, this was all a lie. Like, it wasn't or Jordanian, Palestinian. It was some dude who was not that. And that's all they needed. Like, you're not dealing with the brightest bulbs in the pack, and of course, this was amplified on Twitter. I'm going to dead name Twitter, but Twitter is amplifying Elon Musk, who, I mean, we throw the word fascist a lot, but this guy is just giving a lot of fuel to a fire of idiots who really think that all this shit's happening too. So, and the Labor Party now, and also like the conditions. Look, the conditions in America and here and every other capitalist country are the same. Working class people are losing. Life is getting harder. Services are being cut. Your quality of life is bad. Your 40-hour work week is now a 60-hour work week. Your benefits are so you're losing. And what the right likes to do is, instead of blaming the very rich corporations and Wall Street, who do they blame? Oh, it's these Muslims and migrants. And this is what the fucking Labor Party's been doing too for a long time. I think there was a 2015 thing, like they were trying to be more anti-migrant as well. So, this is who they point the finger at. And this is where this dumb shit happens. So people who normally probably, like I said, they've been screwed. They're just blaming the wrong person and the wrong people. And this is a pogrom, literally. Yeah. Like, this is attempted, like they tried to burn down buildings with people in them. That is attempted murder. I don't know how these people are not being arrested on. That's literally terrorism. When you try to burn a building with someone in it, that's arson. That's like, and these people are getting slaps on the wrist, like 12 months, maybe 10 months in jail for attempted murder.
Yeah. They're like, these people are coming to our country and they're going to act like terrorists. And then we're going to act like terrorists to get
the Department of Irony called.
Yeah, exactly. What I don't understand is like was the identity of the killer ever confirmed?
Since he was 17. See, that was they don't release names for a 17-year-old. So that's how the people were able to lie about it. We can't release information on a minor.
So you can fill in whatever gaps is convenient. Yeah. Okay.
Bingo. Right. Yeah, so they saw that.
And and the right never wastes a crisis or an opportunity.
Right.
And so like, my God, I'm a big fan of my own local community Facebook groups. They are full of Karens that essentially call for like the public execution of every homeless person when they look at them.
I was gonna say, because mine is a cesspool as well. Are we the same one?
It is a nightmare. They'd
probably be good MAGA communists. They might think that homeless people are like the feudal lords of the sidewalk.
And if you don't pay the toll, you get a bucket of shit thrown at you.
There you go.
The imagery, I will not deny that I think Haas is actually kind of funny, because
he's funny and like
Dr. Haas.
That imagery was so fucking good. So, but yeah, like every time someone's tent in an encampment, because there's like 1,000 tents now in public parks. Every time someone's tent burns down, every time a public washroom burns down, these people instantly flock to blaming the jobless, the drug addicts, and the immigrants who are coming here and taking up all of our housing and apparently all of our jobs. But they're also stealing all of our welfare. I don't know. I can't keep this shit straight.
Mine is all the migrants are causing all the car accidents in town, by the way. That's the weird one. Oh, it's all these migrants who are causing car accidents. And it's like, I live near a dangerous intersection where there's crashes all the time. And someone said, I know it's a migrant who did it. And like, I did post the photo. It was like a white teenage girl who did it. And I go, I don't think she's a migrant. I mean, I was from far away. I was trying to be creepy. I'm like, it's not, you idiot. And then he just deleted his comment. You know, I'm just saying.
I think I think Americans honestly believe that like a lot of other countries don't have cars or something. Well, she's from Guatemala. Like, how could she know how to drive?
Have they seen a road before? Like, I don't know. Yeah. What are these horseless carriages you speak of? Holy God. Yeah.
Another aspect with these far right rioters that I always find interesting is the police response is always relatively tepid compared to, say, a Black Lives Matter protest or
students protesting on a college campus. Boy, they needed a lot of cops for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and fascist Zionist brown shirts too.
Oh yeah, well they're their buddies.
Yeah, that's always the case. They always go after the left more than the right.
Always the case.
Like if you were to look in like Weimar Germany, like leftists would always get these lengthy like prison sentences, etc. Someone like Hitler, he like literally tries to overthrow the republic and he gets like 5 years, but it's only just a year. You're out on parole.
Yeah, and you get to write a book if you want to.
I was told by my newsmen on Daily Wire that Nazis were leftists. So,
yep, obviously.
So Newswire's full of leftists, I guess. Well, that's amazing. Welcome aboard, comrades. Yeah, right. Holy shit!
Why go back and forth between loving Nazis and hating them for being leftists.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So even if like there is there really is, it's like completely manufactured. We talked about this on our last episode, which I have not released yet. We will be released soon, where we talk about the border and the migrant crisis, right? And the reason why there is a migrant crisis is because of the foreign policy of these countries, right? And so it's coming home to roost. If you don't want people swarming your border, then maybe you should stop fucking these countries up. I don't know. That's just my crazy idea.
So the other thing is with these riots, like what's going on is like Britain used to enslave a lot of these countries. You know, they had an empire that was the largest in world history. It enslaved hundreds of millions of people across a quarter of the planet. And now some of the people that they formerly enslaved are living in their country. So, big deal.
Yeah, because they got nowhere, because there's nowhere to go.
I mean, it's not like these places are like, removed from the consequences of this colonization already. Like how long ago was it that India, for example, was even liberated from England? Like 100 years?
Like right?
It's not like 80 years. That's still a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's a generation.
My grandma was alive. Like
my dad was alive. My parents were older, but my dad was born. My dad was born during the Battle of Stalingrad.
Actually, fun fact. Damn. Today is actually India's Independence Day, and it was 1947.
There you go.
August 15th.
Doug, this is why we have you on. So there you go. There's Doug's history fact of the day. A little factoid.
Our politicians, our political elite, line up to get tough on immigration, right? And Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are no different. We cannot rely on our bourgeois leadership to solve this crisis. The fact is, there's more than enough resources on this planet, and especially in the imperial core, to ensure everyone can have a decent standard of living. And it's just a matter of who actually owns and who actually has the power, and that's what needs to be challenged. Right.
Yeah.
And so the only victims of these are, working class people and fighting against working class people. And so this plays into the agendas of the far right. And that's why we need to mobilize. This is a wake up call. Right. This is why we need to mobilize labor. We need to continue to radicalize and educate ourselves, as well as talk to our friends, our family, our coworkers, our neighbors. And because like sometimes you find that a lot of people feel the same way, that there's just no real way to articulate it. Like they don't have the tools to articulate how they feel. And a lot of people do have legitimate anger, but it turns out if you really pick apart what they're saying, their anger is towards the system and capitalism and their boss and like the constant competition that workers are forced into against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how you brought up the thing here too. The next piece, which will be how they mobilized and stopped it, because the police didn't actually do a whole lot of the stopping. The police were the ones who actually managed to sit by and do nothing. Now, this is a great article that we was also posted as a follow-up. And I know some of the fascists may not like how this worked out, but I'll just read the first little bit of it. Tens of thousands of workers and youth mobilized across the country last night in response to the far-right menace that has tormented Muslim communities and migrants over the last 10 days. The fascists and thugs, meanwhile, were nowhere to be seen. Where they did turn up, their numbers were so small they were very quickly crushed. This is a great victory, which is rightly being celebrated by all those looking to fight against racism and protect our neighborhoods. These mass mobilizations reveal the real balances of forces of society. In reality, the reactionary elements that have run amok on Britain's streets over the last week, a little more than human dust, in Trotsky's words, they can be very easily swept away by workers and young people through militant mass action. I'll just point out this too. So in Boston, after the Unite the Right rally, which the neo-Nazis and the Confederate pro-slavery assholes murdered a group of anti-fascists, including Heather Hoyer, which was the anniversary was a few days ago, the same scumbags wanted to come to Boston and try their little dumb shit here. So what was a great thing here and what happened in Britain was that 40,000 anti-fascists showed up to show these little clowns down.
It was great. They're on the common in that little, like, what is it, gazebo or whatever it is. And there's like it completely surrounded. There's like, I don't know how many were in there, but it's like, you're not getting out without the cops protecting you, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
similar thing happened in Philly. I was proud of my my beloved Philly. I think it was on a smaller scale, but yeah, it was great. There was a video of it. They were just like beating the shit out of these guys, just like common Philly hooligans, just being like,
nope, when Patriot Fart showed up. Yeah, they're the little tiny shield, the little sticks, and they were running up into a van. They got the crap beat out of them too. Oh, right, because this is why they don't announce anything, because they know they're going to get their ass kicked when they show up, and they did. That's why they have to hide, put a little mask on, and hopefully no one sees us as we get our shit. These are the incels with no friends. They live on the internet, and they try to do it in real life, and then guess what? Philly gave them a good welcoming. And in Boston, right? So the good part, too, was, right? So when they were giving the little speech, supposed to be like 2 or 3 hours, so they spoke for like 15 minutes, and that was a part of a feeder march, and there was probably 15 to 20,000. Another 20,000 of us were marching down the street to Boston to march down there. The police said, look, we cannot guarantee you protection anymore. You all have to leave. That's how you defeat the fascist scum. They're little tiny numbers they're a little scaredy cats who run off. The only people who protect them are the cops too. So they had to go run off back into the little van and drive away all scared and pissing their pants. They're not tough. And like Trotsky said, you can just sweep these people away with a mass movement, because most people who are normal and not these little weirdos hate them. No one really likes Nazis. No one likes their white supremacy. No one likes their bullshit message. We know that migrants are not the problem in society. It's the rich people. It's their little dumb fascist thugs who think they're going to be Elon Musk or whatever. No. So I'm sorry. These people, they know their days are over. And they're just, like I said, they're clinging to it. And they use terrorism and they try to murder people. And the community stood up against it. That's how you defeat these scumbags, by showing up.
Yeah, it's important to remember, like, these guys are dangerous. Like, they do really horrendous shit, especially when they gain power, but like they are just like silly little shitheads. Like they're just weak little pissant bullies who will cower at any show of force against them.
Yep.
So it's like they're laughable, also dangerous, but they're very beatable, and we just need to do it.
Yeah, the thing about these guys, it doesn't matter like how many appear. You gotta like, it's like getting like a roach infestation. You got to like put it down right away. And I'm using that analogy very deliberately. Doesn't matter how many. If you see them, you got to, get rid of them. I remember my hometown, the next town over, like a dozen fascists came to hear Matt Hale from World Church of the Creator come and speak. This is over 20 years ago.
Yep.
And like 600 people to 1,000 showed up, where you don't ever want to give them, like, they need to be afraid.
Right.
You don't want these people to feel that they can show themselves in public and wave their swastikas and whatever. They've got to be met with numbers and force, and they got to be frightened. And it's good when the enemy is frightened.
Yep. We so last fall, the trucker convoy anti-vax
God, these idiots
people mobilized a day of action against our school system in Canada. In every province there was demonstrations because it was an anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ, and at its heart really an anti-teachers union mass mobilization. For the most part across the entire country, they were vastly outnumbered by counter demonstrators. Pride groups, anti-fascist groups, and unions were all mobilized to show, like, no, you're not fucking around. Like, you can fuck off. Unfortunately, here in Hamilton, there was a massive, we were vastly outnumbered by about 5-1. Unfortunately, it was a huge amount of the Muslim community was duped into allying with these clowns. These are like, one of them clearly had a banner that said something about instead of like trucker convoy, it says something about vaccine freedom or something like that. Like, they clearly had put like letters on top of the old one. Like, they're just recycling the same stupid ass talking points. The trucker bullshit, the anti-vaccine, and now they're doing this ostensibly to protect children. And I guarantee this is the same people that have absolutely no problem with their tax dollars going overseas to fund a genocide against tens of thousands of Palestinian children. And that's ultimately what broke this movement apart. This was September, and then October 7th happened, and this anti-trans movement completely lost all of its sales because the Muslim community completely pulled out. It fractured it. It pulled it apart because these were also these are Christian fundamentalist nut jobs, Zionist scumbag, conservative scumbag pigs. I think, though, one of the most offensive things I saw, and this is very much a Canadian context, is that side they had the audacity to wave Every Child Matters flags. It's an orange flag, and Every Child Matters refers to the discovery of mass child graves on the residential schools that were set up by the colonial Canadian government that led to the deaths of thousands of Indigenous children that were just, their bodies were just dumped on these school grounds and buried. And through it's called ground penetrating radar, you can detect disturbances in the soil layers. And so they think that there's the number is somewhere around like 6,000 to 8,000 graves have been discovered across the entire country. The Canadian government, the Catholic Church, and the Anglican Church all conspired, and they literally stole children from the arms of women for these residential schools to beat and I quote, the Indian out of the child. And so that's where that phrase Every Child Matters comes from. And the fact that these fucking assholes have the audacity to turn this around against trans youth and LGBT children, because of the time honored tradition of labeling all LGBT people as pedophiles and groomers and predators, and it really broke my heart to see it used that way. So I have to commend all my comrades in my hometown for coming out. They tried to do a second rally, and it was a complete. So this was after October 7th. This was sometime mid-October. It was a complete failure. Less than 10 of them showed up, and there was hundreds of us. So that was a good feeling. I think at the end of the day, we won. There was no anti-trans legislation passed anywhere in the country, as far as I can tell.
Good.
And a lot of these guys, they just went back into the shadows.
That's awesome. Well, I'm all right. So that's a good thing. And like I said, that's what happened in the UK. And like I said, they're the ones, the people, unions stood up, like much like with Aaron's story and my story too, stand up to these animals because you have the numbers. They don't. They have fear and terrorism. That's all they have. And their little outsized thing. So if I can switch gears a little bit onto our next point too, Venezuela, not much in the news anymore. It's kind of died down. So I just wanted to share an article that I have here from a really good source, which I always like, Venezuela Analysis. If I can just put this up on the screen. So TLDR, there still hasn't been any official counts yet It's been certified. The numbers aren't there, but the picture, it's kind of like if you had mud thrown on, like, because when I first reported this, it was a very muddy view, very murky, but now a lot of the shit's come off and now you're getting a clear picture. So I'm just going to read some of this article a little bit, and then we can probably just talk about it too. So this is from the media coverage of Venezuela's presidential election normalizes U.S. interference, which, surprise, surprise, in an oil-rich country, the United States has a weird interest in it. I know. I'm glad we're sitting down for this news here. Corporate media's coverage of Venezuela's July 20th presidential election is akin to an investigation of a homicide that is focused not with identifying the murderer, but with an unpaid parking ticket of the victim. Likewise, the media has shifted the narrative into the minutia of electoral procedures, ignoring the much larger issue of U.S. interference in the internal affairs of another sovereign country. Nowhere in the corporate media is there even an inkling that the U.S. to impose regime change activists in Venezuela or elsewhere might violate some basic principles. Ours is a homeland where the likes of George Clooney and Melinda Gates have the prerogative, because they are rich, to demand that a sitting president abandon his re-election bid in this, quote, land of the free, unquote. Corporations are considered persons. Political bribery is an exercise in free speech, and no candidate for public office is competitive unless they accept bribes, or as what we call in the United States, campaign contributions, from corporate interest. Yet Washington considers itself to be the ultimate arbitrator of what constitutes democracy in other countries. The truth is that Washington is not interested in democracy in Venezuela, but rather is keenly concerned with Caracas' geopolitical role as exemplar of independent sovereignty from the empire. For that reason, Obama and every other subsequent U.S. president declared Venezuela to be an unusual and extraordinary threat to U.S. national security. And this is the good quote here. Of course, the notion that Venezuela poses a national security threat to the U.S. is preposterous. Former U.S. president correctly identified Washington's actual motive when he openly boasted, I'm not going to do a Trump impression, but because I suck at it. When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. Similarly, Biden's four-star military commander for Latin America, Laura Richardson, opined, the importance of the region cannot be overstated, though. The proximity, number one, but of all the resources. This hemisphere is very rich in natural resources. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves. Ta-da! Venezuelans went to the polls with a gun pointed at their heads. This is because a vote for the Bolivarian Revolution Socialist Project would de facto mean a continuation and likely intensification of the U.S. hybrid war. In other words, one purpose of the coercive measures is to incentivize Venezuelan voters to vote for the U.S.-backed opposition and disincentivize them to vote for the Chavistas. I'll just stop there for a minute. United States, ever since 2002, when it orchestrated the coup against Hugo Chavez, and now there's more sanctions on Venezuela, the second most in the world. Like Russia's number one. Venezuela has invaded no country, declared no wars, or done anything. Yet every single thing they can try to do to destroy this economy and to make the people vote out the PSUV, which I can assure you, as I think I've talked about before, the PSUV is not a great party. I wouldn't say it's a very good party at all, but I will defend the PSUV from this kind of bullshit, as every socialist should. Maduro, not a great leader. He privatizes things. He turned over worker-owned factories and farms back to the former owners. But at the same point, too, this is a problem for the Venezuelan people and the Venezuelan people alone to solve on their own. They will handle it. They will fix it.
Yeah, I think even for the sake of argument, let's say that he did steal the election and all that fucking stuff happened. It wouldn't matter because it's not the U.S. place to determine who's in charge of this country or that country, because first of all, their intervention will almost always make things worse. And the Venezuelan right is absolute garbage. These are people who, they're worried. They're like former Confederate slaveholders. They're upset that, that they're all uppity, they're not knowing their place anymore. That's what they feel about like ordinary Venezuelan people. So yeah, our first duty, as particularly living in an imperialist country, is oppose any and all actions by an imperialist government, no matter where, against any place in the world. I think that's just because we know from the U.S. history in Latin America, whether we talk Guatemala, Cuba, Chile, all these places, their intervention just brings suffering and death and just enriches like the bourgeoisie locally.
Right.
And
the U.S. doesn't exactly have a good track record here. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, it's
not
like,
really.
I think it would be different. Like, Well, I mean, first of all, we obviously, if we were in Venezuela, we would oppose U.S. intervention. But, I don't think that would necessarily mean like translated to some kind of uncritical support from Maduro, because I do think like we do kind of need like a Marxist party of the working class in Venezuela, just like we kind of need that everywhere.
Hey, yep.
But
Yep.
Yeah, there does tend, a lot of leftists slash Venezuela, anti-imperialists automatically will offer like uncritical support for these leaderships of these countries. It's not just limited to Venezuela. I see it.
Right. It's like
I see all this crap for the Iranian regime. Like they're
like Iran, Syria. It's like, of course, we would be like, the U.S. shouldn't intervene at all. But when there's like local class struggle, like, there was in Iran, like 2 years ago, I think we should be on the side of those protesters, because the thing with like, this is like the Marxist Leninist tanky thing. They don't see class struggle in any of these places. It's all geopolitics to them. And it's all determined by whether they're pro or anti-US.
Yes.
And so that is not the barrier. Yeah.
The Iranian regime is anti-US imperialism. Therefore, anything that goes against it is good. Is a color revolution. It's
a CIA, and if you don't support it, you support the CIA. That's it.
Yeah, it's mechanical, it's undialectical, and very, very frustrating because this seems to be
right. Their version of the Communist Manifesto is all history is the history hitherto of color revolutions and CIA interventions.
Yeah,
that's not to say that CIA.
Wow, that Marx guy, huh?
Yeah,
no shit.
That's I think Sam Marcy or someone wrote that. That's a deep cut. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's for the hardcore fans. There you go. Ooh.
But I guess the point would be, it's like, obviously the CIA tries to get their mitts in a lot of these places. I don't think that's,
of course,
deniable, but the fact that they automatically assume all of this is controlled and manipulated by the CIA all the time. It's like, I think you're giving them a little too much credit. And some of these movements, like, it takes time for things to like sort themselves out for who's in charge and everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like, you got to actually do like a real analysis, look at the political forces on the ground and where they're, what slogans they're proposing, what programs they're putting up, the class forces behind them. Because if this was like, in Iran, if it's like a real like popular revolution, the CIA is not going to support them.
No shit. Yeah, they don't want that. They want some other. They want the Shah back. They want They want their own dictator back. That's who they want back. They don't want, like, the whole reason they had a coup in the first place was because Mossadegh, the guy, he was nationalizing the oil and going to use it kind of like Chavez. Which is not super radical, but I mean, it's good for the people, but that doesn't make you a communist, but it's a basic demand, and they overthrew him for that.
Yeah, it's like we're for, like, it's workers of the world unite. So like, we're for the workers of Iran overthrowing their local theocracy, just like we're for the workers of Syria overthrowing, their local thug. But that doesn't mean we want the US to do it, because we know the US never goes in there to liberate, never goes in there to emancipate. And I think every now and then you get these weird leftists, the State Department types, who think, the U.S. is talking about bringing freedom or humanitarian intervention,
the DSA
or
type
cluster
of
bombs and that kind of shit, and it's gonna free them. It's all just empty rhetoric, and you got to actually see through that.
I like the phrase you coined, the blue and white tankies.
Yes, the blue and white tankies. That's what they're with.
The colors of NATO. If you don't
know, the NATO colors.
They're
there's the supporting like all the Nazis in Ukraine, and they're opposed to the red and brown tankies who are supporting Putin's Russia, thinking he's actually fighting fascism. I mean, both of them are morons.
No, he's fighing to restore the Soviet Union secretly.
Yeah, okay.
Please understand what they're saying.
I'm sorry, I forgot Dr. Haas.
Because Putin is former KGB, he was a former Soviet agent, therefore he's operating
subconscious. That's what
he's operating under Marxist-Leninist thought. And
right.
It's truly something to behold.
That's exactly it. And he's arresting LGBTQ people out there, just like all the communists, and we support none of. That's exactly
what the American Communist Party supports. They loathe the LGBT community.
We're also American air quotes Communist Party, for if you know, not to be confused with the CPUSA, which has its problems. But they ain't them. That's all it is. But we need to give them a different name. They don't deserve that title. We have to call them something else on the show, because I don't want anyone.
Valor.
Yeah. That's the fake, whatever the fuck they are. The Strasserites.
American Cock Party.
Yeah, that's what when people call
I call them the NSDAP, but you know,
you know what? The NSDAP. That's way better. All right, that's it. That because we don't want to confuse anyone. All right.
Yeah. I say when people call me a tanky, I say I am not a tanky. I have not earned that honor. I haven't operated a successful socialist revolution.
Yeah, the National Social Democratic American Patriots.
There we go. Oh wow,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
That is Aaron. All right. I think the order of Lenin will be going to Aaron right now. All right. So let me just go back one sec here, just about this article. I'll skip to this part right here about Venezuela. The U.S. planned to claim fraud all along right here. I just want to cover this. This election is far from the first time Washington has tried to interfere in Venezuela's democratic process. Nicolas Maduro won the Venezuelan presidency in 2013 in a constitutionally mandated, quote, snap election after the untimely death of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, founder of the Bolivarian Revolution. The U.S. was the only country in the world not to recognize Maduro. So surprising. For the 2018 election, the U.S. claimed fraud 6 months in advance, which is basically what Trump is doing now. Like this, every right-wing government now is just going to, it's fraud right off the bat before the election even happened. Washington ordered its Venezuelan collaborators to boycott the polls, going so far as threatening sanctions against a moderate opposition candidate for running anyway. Regime change could be accomplished, Washington reasoned, by the 1-2 punch of the impact of a collapse of international oil prices on the petroeconomy and U.S. coercive measures to impede recovery. But this time around, conditions were different. Venezuela had reversed the economic freefall and began to diversify the economy. I know they were going into gold and other things like that. How they got that gold, there's a not so great story about Guyana and them. That's another story, another time. GDP growth was projected to be among the highest in the hemisphere. Under such circumstance, boycotting is out of the question. And it kind of goes on here too about it. Here it is. However, the U.S. chose to promote the far-right Maria Corina Machado, who they knew had been banned since 2015 from running for office because of past misdeeds. Eventually, the completely unknown Edmundo Gonzalez, I mean, that guy is like 80-something. This guy can't even move his body. He's old as fuck. He had no previous electoral experience, was chosen to run Machado's surrogate, giving her electoral disqualification. And this is it. While the interim Gonzalez convalesced in Caracas, Machado barnstormed the country carrying her paper image. And also, she is a huge Zionist. She actually wrote to the Likud party and Netanyahu in 2019. She asked for Israel to invade Venezuela. She literally requested Israel to invade her country. Holy shit. Yeah. And then
did she say that Maduro was Hamas or something? Or that
So
or did they say that this hospital is like filled with Hamas? That would do it.
That could have done it. Yeah. So Chavez and the PSUV and Maduro, like I said, I'm very critical, but they have been stalwart supporters of Palestine. They have a Palestinian embassy in Caracas, and the largest group of Palestinians in Latin America live in Venezuela. So there is a large Palestinian community living in Venezuela. I'll say this, I'll point out a lot of problems. They did this right. They're good on this, and that's why Machado is trying to get Israel to fucking. She's been on like Zionist TV praising Netanyahu and everything they've been doing. So yeah, pretty fucked up. And also the other thing too was Juan Guaido. If you remember him, gone.
Yeah, didn't he? He just won the Democratic primary, didn't he?
Right, like they're never going to bring that guy back, I guess. But he's got all that millions of dollars in Citgo oil still. Who knows what he's doing with it? But that's what's on to him. But
I mean, he's literally a meme. Whenever there's like some whoever whenever there's an election, we all just say that Juan Guaido won it.
That's it,
because he declared himself. It's like what The Office meme. I didn't say it, I declared it.
Yeah. And I'll end it right here.
Buttigieg wins one.
Yep.
Him on Iowa.
They call him the Pete Buttigieg. I think Trump called him the Pete Buttigieg of Venezuela, which was it is kind of funny. I gotta give him Trump is funny. You know, he's no JD Vance with anti-charisma, but holy shit, Trump did make a good joke on that. So I'll end it right here. So who won the election? Edison Research, and thank you again. Someone in the Discord chat did bring up this article written, I think, by the Gray Zone. So I'll just bring this up here too. No, it wasn't Gray Zone. It was Ben Norton with this up. So who won? Edison Research election poll found that 65% for the U.S.-backed candidate and 31% for Maduro. An exit poll by Hinterlaces had the opposite result. Maduro 55, Gonzalez 43, similar to the official result by the CNE, which is the official governing body of elections, who said 51 and 44. Hinterclass is a long-established and respected Venezuela polling firm whose owner has been the critical of the Maduro government. Edison, on the other hand, works for the CIA-linked U.S. government propaganda outlets such as Voices of America, which are operated by the U.S. Agency for Global Media, a, quote, Washington-based organ that is used to spread disinformation against U.S. adversaries. So that's it right there. So I think we're all getting, I think it's pretty clear that Maduro did win this election. Like I said, the numbers are more coming in. It looks like, now granted, Machado did get 43%. That's not nothing. And that does show weakness in, Maduro because, he really needs to stop this right-wing turn he's been doing, this whole thing of turning back, he should try doing this thing called socialism, where you give the means of production back to the workers and stop trying to appease the petty bourgeoisie and the bully bourgeoisie. So there's my little update on Venezuela. Just wanted to get through that. So it's looking good. And the United States also is not calling the puppet there, Eduardo, no longer calling them president-elect anymore. I think the United States knows they got a loser here. And there's been popular rallies all over Venezuela supporting the government. And the numbers have been dwindling pretty low for the right-wing opposition. They tried to, a lot of what they were trying to do, they were trying to make it look like they were being locked out of elections. The gates closed at 6, so they'd show up at 7 o'clock screaming and banging, we want to vote. And that's what made the media. They were pretty internet savvy. Like I said, they were savvy. They had some good media direction, and it looked like it was going to be a thing, but it looks like this coup is not going to happen. So looks like PSUV did win this. Still critical of them. But hopefully the PCV is a shining light. Their last election, they shouldn't have endorsed that last guy. But yeah, so that's all I got for that. Anything else on Venezuela? Are we good? All right. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for that. So on to our next thing here. Oh, Lord. God help us. Did any of you see Trump and Elon Musk at all? Did any of you watch that?
Thankfully not.
I'll usually watch shit like that. When like Hassan is commenting on it, I had to turn it off. I couldn't even I saw maybe 10 minutes of like his commentary and like, dude, it was so bad. The thing is, they are so boring. They are so stupid and
it was just boring. And them jerking each other off, like, hey,
yeah,
you're so good. No, you're so great.
Like obviously Trump can be like very charismatic and shit, but
he
like
has charisma.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
But like there's really this thing with like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, who I heard speak for the first time recently.
Yeah,
guy cannot get a fucking sentence out of his mouth. It's insane.
No shit.
He's
he's like an evil libertarian billionaire, but I didn't know he's that bad.
Yeah, he just stutters and sputters and starts and farts.
I've never heard him speak. Oh God,
he's like a moron. It's so crazy how like the emperor has no clothes in all of these situations, like every one of these guys.
Oh my God. All right, Aaron, so you have a oh, this is okay. So let me ask you this. If I robbed a bank, let's just say, and no one knew I robbed a bank, and then I go on a live stream, say on Twitter Spaces, and I go, hey, here's me describing me robbing a bank, you know what happens? I might get charged with the crime. Aaron, can you play Exhibit A in evidence for this upcoming trial at the NLRB? Holy shit, these guys are fucking stupid.
Oh, this is this is really astounding. So this is part of that Twitter Space interview that Musk did. Trump has, they're buddies now, and Trump has now returned back to Twitter because Truth Social is a dying medium. It just tech bros are the dumbest people in the world. They invested.
Well, I bought some stock. How's it doing? I bought when it was up pretty high.
They invested a shitload of money into it. It went nowhere, and now all that money is gone. So now he's back on Twitter. The king has returned.
Okay,
and this is just, this whole thing's incredible.
Oh God, help me! Shit, go.
Also, listen to Trump talk because it's very interesting.
Yeah,
just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
I'd love
if it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good.
What's wrong with his
you would love it.
voice?
But you know,
Yeah, that's the thing. He's like, he go on strike.
Yeah, it might be it might just be the audio. Like it's just like
no,
that's
what
No,
Steven
Twitter
Crowder
doesn't fuck up.
Steven Crowder tried to defend the audio. Is like, oh, it's bad audio, but like actually no, like he is on something or off something.
Maybe he's off something. There we go. Yeah, he didn't get injected with Adderall or adrenochrome before this thing went up.
So yeah, Musk wants to be part of Trump's cabinet about all about spending taxpayers' hard-earned money. He would be happy to basically allocate where it's better spent, i.e., SpaceX, and
the guy that spent overpaid, who spent $44 billion and is tanking fucking Twitter, is going to be in charge of running. I wouldn't trust him run a fucking lemonade stand because he.
Yeah, no, I can only assume it's just he's like, oh, you have to spend it on good stuff, as if just to get around, the democratically elected Congress. But then he's like, yeah, you're one of the best cutters, as in like he loves cutting jobs because as soon as people go on strike, he just fires everybody. This is
right, which is illegal.
Trump has done this. He has gotten into trouble not paying. There was these non-union
contractors,
Polish contractors who built Trump Tower, and when they demanded to be paid, not even just paid fairly, but paid, period, he basically threatened to deport them all. And so they all fucked off, and that was it. Right. That was the end of that. Trump is one of the biggest scabs on the fucking planet, and so is Elon Musk. He has busted union efforts at Tesla. The Tesla factories are not up to code in terms of safety. Elon Musk hates the color yellow, so there's no yellow hand guards or there's no yellow like tape or caution stuff anywhere in the Tesla factories. These are like death traps, and these are nightmares. And if you've ever heard Elon Musk in any sort of interview, it's obvious that he wants to be funny so badly.
He desperately, he's like the really unfunny kid who tries too hard and no one likes him kind of energy. Like, you're not funny, no one likes you, you're just a weirdo.
He has and that's it. Negative 100 charisma, just sucks all the energy out of the room. Like
I went to school with like this rich kid who same thing. He was instead of trying to he was trying to be mean and trying to be funny, but no one liked him because he was just a rich asshole and that was it. And his daddy would buy him out of trouble all the time because of who he was. Like, these people have no friends. No one likes them. And like the jokes aren't funny and shit, and they're not landing. And also, the company, now when you mention that stiffing contractors is a civil matter, but when you say I fired striking workers, that is violation of federal labor law. Now you fucked up, you idiot. And the fact that you admitted this is, and I know you have to name the company. They'll do an like the NLRB can do an investigation. They can't do that. I used to be a labor rep. Like, I know how it works. They'll do an investigation. They dedicate sources. The UAW has deep pockets too to file with the NLRB. Yeah. They have deep pockets too. So I'm telling you, you just bit off more than you can chew. So way to go, stupid. But God, there's still more in this clip, by the way.
The thing though is like I don't know how much I really trust the NLRB. It's such a like, what's the word, like kneecapped like institution. Like I don't expect them to do anything. Like, they have found Starbucks guilty of all of these unfair labor practice violations, and there's still not a single, there's been unionized Starbucks stores for like 3 years now, and there's still not a single contract has come out.
I want to say there is a contract and a couple, not all of them. Yeah. I know that a bunch are waiting out, but I believe a few. But the other thing too, about for the remedy as well, all of those workers who got fired will get back pay and penalty pay. Like, you can make out, it's a worker, you'll make out. Like, I know someone who got, I think it happened in North Carolina. There's an old story. These guys weren't making much. I think they all got like $95,000 each out of the fines and back pay and penalties, because now it will take a while, but eventually justice will come. The company will do it. Now, it means nothing to them, but the fact that we need stronger labor laws, which the Democrats were waiting on, you Democrats, with your little PRO Act. You had the House and Senate, Joe Biden, but you didn't seem to pass like the PRO Act, or when it was early under Obama, it was the Employee Free Choice Act. They still aren't doing enough. Surprise, surprise, because Wall Street still owns them. I mean, Charles Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, ran in the presidential primary, and he's a union buster. So holy fucking shit. So wow. So I'm just saying that was still a lot to do, but thanks, Democrats. You could put more teeth into the law, but you don't want to.
I don't know if there's much more to this clip. That's kind of the main part that I wanted.
Oh, he brings up Malay. That would be, you can finish. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at Argentina,
Well, I'd be happy to help
by the way,
out.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a chat, but congratulations.
Okay.
This is very good.
He's a
it's
Twitch
great.
streamer now.
And you're an interesting character. You know, the new head of a place called Argentina, and he's a big, he's great. And he's a big MAGA fan, you know that. He ran on MAGA, and he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really
Make
a terrific
Argentina
job.
great again.
It's called
he's
Argentina great again. It worked out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought over, but he's
Oh my
he's
God.
doing a
Don't they
good
have
job.
like
He
3-digit
really-
inflation?
Yeah, like 280% inflation is going on right now. There is rampant inflation and mass protests going on in Argentina. I don't know, Trumpy, you might want to look at the situation. It's going to shit.
I mean, isn't it like the second example of like trying to put like anarcho-capitalism into practice? The first being Somalia.
Yeah, haha. And I will say this: the libertarian part. I know there's some people on the left who think the libertarians could be some kind of allies. They ain't. They love this guy. They fucking loved Malay. So remember, the Libertarian Party ain't like, we might agree on some civil liberties issues, but no.
The libertarians, like the way it was put to me, they're Republicans who want to smoke weed.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes. Yep.
They have utter contempt for working class people, for people of racial minorities. Yeah, they might, some of them might be gay, some of them might smoke weed, and they might. The reason they oppose wars is because they don't want to deal with brown people and everything. They think that we should just use repression here at home. They're utter scum.
Yeah. Right. So that's it. They want to do away with, like, I work in a union and I'm a federal employee. I work at the post. They want to abolish the post office and abolish labor rights. So so there goes my job. Thanks, libertarian, small government. Now I can work doing the same job for what, $2.40 an hour, because we got rid of the minimum wage. And also my coworker is 11 years old, because we know in public schools there's no more child labor laws. And boy, I bet you have opinions on the age of consent too, you fucking creeps. So libertarian, get your creepy ass, that's always the third thing. A libertarian's like, we want to do this, less taxes, age of consent, and then maybe no driver's licenses. Like, no, it's Mad. They want to make it a Mad Max world. No. Jesus
Did you see the age of consent bullshit with the Norwegian track and field athlete at the Olympics?
Oh, is that the guy, the volleyball guy? Or is that no. Is there more worse shit?
Someone had some creepy tweet where they showed this Norwegian like pole vaulter or something. And they were like, this is what men like created empires over, or some fucking insane shit. And someone quote tweets
I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Someone tweets it. It says, "This is a child, by the way." And it turns out she's like 17.
She was 16.
And then someone, was she 16? Because
she's 16 in the photo. I think that's the youngest you're allowed to compete.
Right. It's also apparently the age of consent in Norway, which a bunch of libertarians started saying, and people were like, "You don't have to do this. You could just be quiet.
Stop talking."
Well, this is why no one wants you to come over to parties, you fucking creep.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I've been to parties. I've been to parties where one guy knows a creepy amount of like age of consent laws.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's like, technically she's 18. What are you talking about? Like, if you have to make a technical argument, then shut the fuck up.
Right.
It's not helping your case.
38, dude. Stop.
If the argument has to go here, then it's no. It's no. She's too young. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to you. Just to go away and let her finish school.
Oh my God, these wackos.
I can also think of another example of where libertarianism was tried and failed spectacularly. Was there was a city in Kansas that tried it, and they got overrun by bears. Because
that was in that was New Hampshire, I believe.
I thought it was Kansas.
New Hampshire has, because I don't think there's any bears in Kansas. New Hampshire has bears, and they're
I guess I don't know. What the fuck do I know? I'm not from.
Okay, you're from. Okay, we live near Massachusetts. We border the state, and they were you done anything about this, Doug?
I was gonna say, there's another example of libertarianism. Well, at least I might consider it, like when they had company towns.
Yes.
Yeah, the company ran it. They had the
coal companies
in the 20s. Store. It's like a feudal manor and everything, and everything.
You got
It's
paid
like
in
they didn't
company
have government
script.
involved.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, no,
No.
they call in the National Guard when workers go on strike. Yeah.
They believe in the government when
Well,
that
they
happens.
had their Pinkertons. Don't forget that.
Yep, the
Yeah.
Pinkertons were their private police force,
So
and
it's
you
like
got paid in
the
company script.
towns. That's kind of like libertarian in action.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to get paid in dollars? No, we don't do that here. By the way, we run the stores and we're going to up the price of the store, of the merchandise in the stores. We're going to make more money back. If you want to leave, sure, we can pay you in script as well, but that's useless outside of this. Like, that is what the Libertarian Party wants, is like this return. Like, this is how it happens. This is how it, not some fantasy world where it's like they want Mad Max as a documentary. Like, it's just insane.
That
But,
reminds me.
you know,
I'm happy you mentioned the Pinkertons. It reminds me of I don't know if it ever got made or released, but I know there was rumors Amazon was working on a Pinkerton, like the first female Pinkerton detective.
oh wait, what?
Starring-
No.
like a feel good story.
Starring Emily
Yeah.
Blunt. And
These women are beating up strikers with pink batons for breast cancer
no,
awareness.
I can picture the scene is perfect, right? There's a bunch of like striking workers are holding signs, and they're like they point at the person who's wearing a fedora and their face is hidden, and he's like, "Screw you, Pinkerton, you scab! No man's gonna stand between me and fair pay." And she lifts the fedora up, revealing her face of a woman, and she goes, "I am no man," and then pulls out a baseball bat and beats the shit out of the guy.
That's funny and sad at the same time, but that's yeah. Holy God,
that's my pitch for the Pinkerton movie.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's
That's not
like
awesome, but that's awesome. Oh my God. All right. So next point here. I don't know, do any of you follow what's going on in Palestine right now? Are you ready to get pissed off?
Never
to our
ever
audio listeners?
Never stop talking about Gaza, folks.
Yeah.
It's just keep putting relentless pressure. Don't let the fucking Democrat voters shame you into shutting up about Gaza.
But I'm speaking now.
But I'm
here's some girl boss energy. Yes.
Speaking of girl boss energy, yeah. I think we covered that.
You and I talked about it earlier this week, about the fact that the pressure campaign is working. That she's at least now having to say, "I do want to cease fire. I do." There's progress. That's called movement. That's not enough. Not even close to enough now, because just days after we, like, some the anti-genocide people, we see this, and this is from Democracy Now! The quote, the headline, incomprehensible, quote, U.S. approves $20 billion in new arms for Israel as Gaza death toll tops 40,000. That's a conservative number of the death toll. The United States, and I'll just read this is a short piece here. Health officials in Gaza said Thursday that the official death toll from Israel's 10-month war has topped 40,000, though it is believed to be a vast undercount of the true figure. The grim milestone was reached just days after the Biden administration greenlit $20 billion in additional weapons sales to Israel, including 50 F-15 fighter jets, tank ammunition, mortar rounds, tactical vehicles, and advanced anti-air missiles. The U.S. approved the sales despite growing calls for an arms embargo in Israel. Quote, this is just a continuation of a policy that's been going on for 10 months of the U.S. providing Israel all the arms that it requires, unquote, says Josh Paul, a veteran State Department official who worked on arms deals and resigned in protest over Gaza policy in October. Quote, it is a dark day for American foreign policy, quote. We also spoke with Jan Egeland, the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, who says it's incomprehensible that the U.S. keeps supplying Israel with weapons. There should be no more arms going into that place before there is a ceasefire.
Incredible.
I don't even know what to say. Like, we shouldn't be surprised.
It's been like 9 months at this point. Like, there's nothing more we can say about this. Like, you're either
Right.
against this or you're not. The only thing that I can say is, what can $20 billion cost you? This is according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It would cost $20 billion to end homelessness in the United States.
Christ, we could.
That's 650,000 homeless
year
people.
or total.
Once and for,
I mean, either way, it's still
even if it was $20 billion a year. Well, good. Versus $20 billion in weapons to murder people. I'm fine with that. $20 billion a year for genocide, $20 billion a year for like ending homelessness. Like, this country is hell bent on just starting World War III with Netanyahu is never going to be reined in. He, like I said, he is itching for war with Iran. There will be, and looks very likely, even Israel, I think today, the war cabinet said that war is inevitable with Iran. And so is Hezbollah. Like, this is going to top it off. And our weapons, our tax dollars are going to be funding it. And also our U.S. Navy ships and aircraft carriers in the region will be protecting Israel as it conducts its genocide. Like, and we're now going to spend, and now Biden is going to sell $20 billion fucking dollars to Israel to keep. I don't. Holy shit.
Yeah, who's paying for this? I assume this is the U.S. government is purchasing this and handing it over to Israel. No,
I think we're actually. I
They're
think
purchasing
Israel
from
is
arms
Israel's
dealers?
buying them, but it's still just. I mean, okay, maybe for this our tax dollars maybe not be funding it. Let me see the climate. Wait, I think I think Israel's buying them, but like, we shouldn't be selling them weapons. That's it. Like, we've given a lot of money, but this might be a sale, but still, why are we selling weapons to these fucking savages who are murdering children? At least 15,000, this is the official count, 15,000 children have been murdered by Netanyahu, the Israeli occupation forces. This is, I'm, God.
Yeah. I mean, like, the official death toll just hit 40,000, but like, we know that is a massive underestimate because they stopped counting like months ago because the people who do the counting,
all the hospitals.
Yeah, because the people that do the counting are all probably dead.
Yeah.
Right.
I forget what organization, but the projection, maybe the like liberal projection is like 200,000.
Yeah, minimum.
Right. I think the Guardian had 186, but yeah, I mean, that was a month ago. So, I mean, they're bombing schools. They're bombing refugee tent cities.
Yep.
They're bombing everything. Like, I mean, what's going to,
they bombed a school during morning prayer.
Yeah.
100 children, women and children were killed. Not a single intact body. It was all body parts.
Because it was being used as a shelter. Like, it wasn't just like a school in session either. It's
They told them, go here. Go here and you're going to be safe. And then
actually, the latest I've heard is now Israel are using Palestinian prisoners. They're dressing them up as IDF soldiers, and they are sending them into buildings to check for booby traps. So it's like they're using some kind of human shield.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every accusation is a confession when it comes out of Israel.
Yeah. And still, like I said, to all the people protesting, I mean, you can protest Trump, but he's not going to move. Keep protesting the fucking Democrats. They do succumb to pressure. The reason why Biden got kicked off, the reason why he resigned, partly not because his brain was shut, which is a part of it. This tanked him. His support of this genocide with Arab people and young, this is exactly what you need to keep doing. These massive protests. I know we got arrested. We got shit thrown at us. Cops beat us up. Kids didn't get their diplomas. They're trying to attack you in every single way. Keep up the pressure on these fucking imperialists. This is what they're doing. Make them uncomfortable. Go to their fucking houses. Go to their offices. Wherever they have a rally, interrupt them until you get them to say no more sales of weapons to Israel. That's what needs to get done.
It's not just the fact that the Democratic Party can be moved ever so slightly. It's the fact that they're the ones that are in charge, and they're the ones that are that are sending these weapons
first of all,
over.
All these imperialists, if you put enough pressure, they can move. It's like, don't forget, like the EPA was passed under Nixon.
Yep, Title IX as well. Yeah, for equal rights for women.
It's like the Democrats are not necessarily like better space for the left than the Republicans or anything like that. If there's enough power in the streets, you can bring concessions, you can get reforms, and you can get that whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office.
Bingo. Yeah. What Doug said. Doug just made it sound better. Yep.
And it's great because, that is a big, like, getting out there is a big part of how that happens. But the people, like the Democrats who always say, like, oh, well, you should vote for the Democrat because they're easier to move left. That when you do that stuff, when you protest, when you disrupt, they're like, this is not the way to get your thing. And it's like, well, what do you fucking want then? Like,
do nothing? Like, how's doing nothing? Because we did nothing and you did this. So yeah, we're gonna interrupt your fucking speeches. We're gonna go have mass protests. We're gonna protest every fucking where you go.
You're telling me they're movable, but when I try to move them, you're like, stop that.
Don't do that. You're an anti-Semite. How dare you? Like, they call Jews for peace anti-Semites. Like, get the fuck out of here. Come on. Really?
There was the largest mass movement in recent history was the George Floyd protests, right? And then the response, not a single piece of legislation was passed, and the response was to nominate Kamala Harris, VP, California's top cop, and $100 billion was passed for police funding.
True. One thing I'll say this: Amy Klobuchar was kicked off because she was actually the DA before too. She was another top cop. She had that cost her. She was going to be VP. She got kicked off because of it. The pressure, like I said, Doug said, it's concessions. You're not pushing them over. They have like a capitalist does not want to give you a pay raise, but if you all go on strike and block the entrance and have a picket, they have to concede that to you. So yeah, maybe I think Doug's words are a bit more appropriate. Concession, fuck, fine. You know what? I want to win the election. Sure, I'll
obviously do it. Reforms are not going to fix the underlying contradictions of capitalism, but there's a way to actually fight for reforms, and it's not like this backroom shit, or it's not like electing Democrats and playing nice. It's like, again, it's militant action. It's taking things it's like training people that way to fight. Bingo. And that's how you win reforms. And that's how you also train the working class to, see the limits of the system and whatnot. But that's the way. It does matter how you fight for reforms. And, we don't like the type of the stuff like, it's like, don't protest that way and stuff. That's how the Democrats want you to fight. And you should never fight like that.
Yeah, that was it. So everything Doug said, 100%, that's exactly it, And I think also it builds the confidence of the working class. Like, holy shit, we won. Like, do you know what it's like when we were in a union and we went out, we had pickets, we had rallies, we were at the boss's office, we had all these union meetings, we had everyone kept informed. And when we got like an 18% raise in my agency way back, everyone was ecstatic. It's like, holy shit, it worked. Like, that's a nice victory. And that means, okay, hey, it's like someone said, like, look, I know I said kind of like fuck the union earlier, but he was like, you were kind of annoying about the union all the time, but you did get me a good raise. So thanks. I'm like, thank you. You're welcome. But next time, maybe we'll see you do some stuff. He didn't show up again, but whatever. Fuck it. Some other people came along, but all right. So, we're winding down to the end of our show here, but a couple things we want to plug. We have a new Patreon supporter. I did ask permission. Caitlin, thank you. Katie, we have been a big fan. You're a big supporter. We love having you out there, our Patreon supporters. You help us do the show. These microphones are they just sound so smooth. Thank you for helping us get them. You help pay for the Zoom. You help pay for microphones. I said that, and also like I said, it means a lot to us. We know it's tough times out there, but thank you. Your continued support of the show means so much to us. Thank you. Also want to plug our Facebook group. So check out the Left Opposition podcast on Facebook. I try to do Instagram and all that, but like I'm having a problem like registering the page. It keeps saying error message when I do it, but I'll figure it out. But so right now it's just Facebook. Also, Doug wrote an article. If you want to talk about that, plug that a little bit. We'll talk maybe next time on. But for all of you who like The Boys, wink, wink, this is going to be a cool one. Just saying.
I guess I'll just say this quickly. I watched The Boys based on some recommendations back in February. Loved it. Watched the whole series at that point in like 3 days, and I wanted to write about it. I kind of wanted to wait also till the fourth season came out, so I did a lot of research, read a lot of comics, historical studies on like superheroes and everything. And long story short, I wrote a really long like series review of The Boys, like superheroes, comic books, heroes, like a lot of the themes in the show, from like Soldier Boy to Homelander to Trump to all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun to do because I love to write and I love to use like a Marxist lens to look at this, and hopefully people like the article. So
yes, all right, we'll put them in the show notes too, I'm sure. So that'll be good. Maybe people can check it out. Maybe we'll come back on next week. We should probably talk about that because I'm gonna go back in the Doug way back machine. The best DS9 article I've ever read in my entire life, written by our man Doug right here. So please check it out. Didn't the daughter of Gul who was the DS9 family member?
It was the daughter of Mark Alamo who had seen my article, and she recommended it. I think she said like, oh, I've actually never watched the show, but it's like reading this makes me want to. That was kind of cool. This was like 7 years ago, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was it.
That's just my dad's job. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, he makes them. I got a cool car out of it, so thanks. But Right on. Okay.
I mean,
All
Mark
right.
Alemo might be a space fascist, or play a space fascist, but he does such a good job of it.
Yeah.
There we go. I know you need a bad guy. That's all you need. So, all right. Anything else we have to plug? I think we got the Patreon Left Opposition podcast as well. If you want to contribute, thank you so much as always to our fans. You make it possible for us to put the show on. Yeah.
Don't forget if you want to see the show recorded live, we are streaming every podcast episode on Twitch.
There we are. That's right. So thank you. And whoever's doing the equal sign capital D, thank you. That means a lot to us. I don't know what that means. It must mean some secret code, but thank you. We appreciate that. All right. Awesome, everyone. So, okay. So for Doug, Aaron, Joe, and myself, thank you for listening. Keep up the fight. Keep up the struggle.
Au revoir.
Later.
Great outro. That was awesome.
Did it. Cut. All right. We are good.